Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Lindsay Unfiltered. And today we'll be looking at the fourth episode of Gypsy Rose's Life After Lockup. This one's named Who's the Daddy? Now, I'm not on screen today because I ate something over the weekend that gave me a bad allergic reaction in my eyes, still puffy. So we'll just do this with photos, okay? So if you guys like content like this that revolves around scandal, controversy, true crime, with a twist of humor, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Without further ado, let's talk about Gypsy Rose's Life After Lockup, episode 4. Now, you guys already know that a lot of people anticipated that Ryan would be the father of this baby just because that's who Gypsy Rose is married to, and some people wanted to see some karma, including Ryan. There was a TikTok of him saying, there'd be quite the egg on her face if the baby was his, and I think deep down he wanted the baby to be his. I believe the baby's kin. We have DNA evidence saying the baby's kin. I really don't see what they gain in trying to cover that up. And the episode starts off with Ken talking about how Gypsy's stressed out because the content creator was driving down her street and he's driving to her. He's like, I'm gonna go pick her up. And Gypsy's like, I don't have to always check with my parole officer, especially in cases like these. And I mean, it's not very wise to say you don't need to check with your parole officer on national television, but hey, what do I know? She also goes on to say that people don't have the right to invade her safety net of a home. This is referring to the content creator that was driving down her street. From what I've gotten from the story, Christy and this content creator were getting into it, and the content creator was looking for Christy, not necessarily Gypsy, and was driving around their area. So Gypsy's like, I'm so scared, I'm so freaked out. And then we see them at the kitchen table, and Gypsy's talking about whatever last name is your last name at the time is what the baby is born with. So her daughter's going to be an Anderson until she gets a paternity test. Ken says, we need to think positive. It's not permanent. Hey, my baby's going to be named after another man, but it's not permanent. And Gypsy states this Louisiana law that Ryan is the presumed father because most of the time, I would say more than 70% of the time, if you're married and you have a baby, that person is for your husband. But hey, what do I know? Gypsy sees a doula. A doula comes in. I think a doula is a modern trend. I'm starting to see it more now. Like women coming out and saying, I'm a doula, or women saying, I want to get a doula. I didn't hear about that 10 years ago, but what do I know? 10 years ago, I was in my late teens, so what the hell do I know? But it seems like the breathing classes were a big thing in my generation. Gypsy said to the doula that someone took a picture of her in the OBGYN and she wants to have security around the birth of this baby because there are so many crazy people that may hurt her. Now, I'm pretty sure if a lot of people see Gypsy Rose in public, they're going to take a picture of her. If you see Beyonce in public, you're going to take a picture of her. If you see Justin Bieber in public, you're going to take a picture. Whether or not you like the person or not, you're going to want to take a picture of them just to say, oh my God, look who was in my OBGYN appointment. Things like that happen. In my opinion, the person who took that picture of her was probably another pregnant woman in the OBGYN clinic and said, oh shit, that's Gypsy Rose. But the way she portrayed it to the doula was like, I'm so helpless. People are taking pictures of me at the OBGYN. People are going to take pictures of you. As long as you're in the spotlight and infamous, people are going to take pictures of you. And she's talking about how it's her life's mission to keep her daughter Aurora safe. But I can't help but to raise an eyebrow at that, because maybe she should have thought of the risk to her possible child's life before conceiving. Because her daughter, unfortunately, has adversities even before being born. This child had adversities in the womb just because of who her mother was. If you really cared that much, you would have given it a second thought. You would have waited a few more years. But hey, nature happens. Things happen. I understand that, but you cannot be thinking too far ahead if you can see the dust hasn't even settled from your release from prison. That is adversity, and that is you making the choice to bring your daughter into this world, not everybody else. Ryan does hella polls. He did one poll that was like Ryan versus Ken. I was in that one, that live stream, and I voted overwhelmingly for Ryan. Honestly, I've seen both of them interact with Gypsy, and Ryan is the kind of head over heels with Gypsy, would kind of let Gypsy have her way. Ken, he's not putting up with her SHIT. So Ken is going to humble Gypsy, whereas Ryan wouldn't have. Ryan says they would have egg on their face if he was really the dad. So that lets us know in the back of his mind, he doesn't know if he's the daddy or not. That is crazy. And I don't understand how Gypsy was saying things like, it's overwhelmingly Ken's baby. There was about a month window that we had between Ryan and Ken. A month window that we can say, okay, she was only with one or the other. That's not a crazy window of time, in my opinion. We've done the math. We've backtracked. In my educated opinion, Ken is a father. I don't see why they would lie about that, and I don't think Ryan Anderson would let them lie about that. Gypsy did a TikTok, and it really pissed me off. She said that Ryan needs to stop talking about her, and when that woman danced on Ryan, that pissed her off. And I'm like, you had a whole baby. You were pregnant at this point, and you have the unmitigated gall to talk about what pissed you off, girl. No, baby. Ryan and Gypsy have been going back and forth on social media for months. I think there is something Gypsy's not telling the world or Ken about her relationship with Ryan after she said she was solely with Ken. That is an assumption. Don't run with it. Gypsy and Ken got into it in the kitchen because Ken said she didn't eat much, and she got mad at Ken. She said, don't fuel those rumors. I do eat. And Ken's like, what? And Gypsy was saying that the people on social media says that she doesn't eat and she's trying to keep this figure. So for Ken to say she doesn't eat, that gives fuel to the content creators. And I'm like, girl, I haven't heard not one person talk about you don't eat. There's way more egregious and heinous things going around than that. But it does seem as if Gypsy Rose, when she's pissed, it's like a light switch. When someone does something to irritate her, it's like a light switch. She gets upset and she flips immediately. You know, a lot of people will say, oh, Gypsy's so sweet. I wouldn't have imagined she's this sweet. You know, the people that are in her fan club. But you do see when something rubs her the wrong way, that instant switch in attitude. Christy calls the deputy to say that someone was coming to fight her. We know the content creator, so Christy calls the police, but Christy has a mouth on her as well. Christy cannot play victim. When me and my subscribers were watching this episode, Christy was talking so much trash about Ryan. Like, what is Christy's vendetta with Ryan? I have no clue. She was speaking of Ryan in ways like, oh, he just makes me want to vomit. Like saying horrible things about Ryan. So I cannot get the victim role from Christy. Christy is a reason why Gypsy and Ken are together. She does not like Ryan, and she makes it very known when she watches the show with Gypsy on Mondays. And I'm like, so how do we know you weren't doing the same type of thing to this content creator? How do we know you weren't threatening her or talking about her in a disgusting way? Gypsy says she's on parole, so she's talking to the police officers, telling them that she's on parole and she can't have weapons. I hope after parole you can't have weapons either, because what the hell? Like, what do you mean? Why are you telling the police officer, I'm on parole, I can't have weapons right now? You don't need any. You don't need none. Because when you have somebody with a temper like Gypsy's, they don't need that. You don't need it around you after parole. Are you kidding? Gypsy and Ken want the paternity test done so people can get past it. And Gypsy wants to go live with the results so everybody can accept it and move the fuck on. Ken says the biggest battle in their relationship is social media. Then they take it to a pumpkin patch. Gypsy then has a talk with Ken about giving the paternity results online. Ken does not like that idea. He says it's not classy, it's not becoming, it's his baby too. Why does it have to be a big Maury style announcement? But it's pretty obvious why Gypsy wants to do it, because at this point the public thinks that her baby is Ryan's overwhelmingly. Gypsy then says she considers Ryan one of the public, and she doesn't like the idea that he's making money on social media and he's an attention grabber. And Ryan is the selfish one in this situation because there's a kid in the situation. Ryan's not the selfish one. You're the selfish one because you were the one that conceived the baby. Ryan didn't conceive the baby. You conceived the baby. So I don't understand how Ryan needs to think about the unborn child that he did not conceive, that was conceived with someone that you left him for. I will never understand that, and that's why people are Team Ryan. She goes on to say that people are only Team Ryan because they don't like her. Well, yeah, that's true. And you did leave him in the dust and got pregnant. It wasn't just bad enough for you to say, I'm not in love, this is not where I'm at, and then separate. You had a baby with him, and you made it very public on social media. So Ryan's not being selfish in this situation at all, and that's why he has a good amount of support. Then in the next scene, they go to the paternity office to get the test done. Gypsy trash talks Ryan a little bit more for good measure, saying that she's ready to get this out so she can prove to him that this isn't his baby. And immediately after the test, she looks nervous. Ken asks what's wrong. She says she's woozy. She feels like she's gonna throw up. I don't know. I can't help but to think maybe she was looking that way because she was nervous about the results herself. She wasn't sure about the results herself, but I don't know. Next episode, they kind of go in on the fact that Ken does not like the fact that Gypsy posted the results loud and proud for everyone to see. And they'll go into his reasons why in the next episode. We will be watching that on my live stream Monday, April 7th at 8 Central Standard Time. I hope to see you guys there. If you like this content and content like it, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. This has been Lindsay Unfiltered. Bye now.